Yes, sir. If y'all joining us in short form right here, we bring y'all that theme song, the intro, off the hip. Y'all can hit that QR code. It's your boy HD, the authority over there. My brother Razor. Yes, sir. We're gonna be talking to you about the final boss. Do we need him? WrestleMania? Las Vegas? Let's see, chat. How y'all feeling out there? How y'all feeling? How y'all feeling? Let me get a. Had to throw that in there one time.
So this is the topic that I can't recall which Twitter handle I saw it first. If that, I apologize. But it's a question that is surfaced over the weekend. Like, is the final boss truly needed at WrestleMania in Las Vegas? We got a lot going on right now. We got a lot of heavy hitters that are either re-entering the fold or will be back by then. And maybe some new folks along the way as well. Remember, Mania is what, 4.5 months from now? 5 months?
Yeah.
But again, let me ask you, given what we're currently seeing with the current landscape, with at least the Bloodline, for example, is his presence needed among the ranks?
Yes. For me, yes. The reason why, we seen what it did at Bad Blood. It changed the landscape of everything. Not only did it change the landscape, the man's music hit. He stared down the ring. He stared
Shocked
down
the
Roman
world.
Reigns. Shocked the world. Had
Stared
us all
down
talking.
Cody Rhodes. Stared down Roman Reigns. Stared down Jimmy Uso.
While Solo in the stands laughing with Jacob. It's part of the plan. It's part of the plan.
Not only that, what was over that big ass boulder he calls a shoulder?
Oh, that people's
People's
champion.
Championship.
Oh man. Uh-huh.
And there has been a little scuttlebutt that belt will be defended a couple times, or if they plan on having it be defended.
I felt like it should be defended because it's a leverage piece for somebody to hold over the rock, meaning I own your property. I took something up off of you. I know you hold this dear because who gave it to you. That's the ultimate one up on the person that owns the company. If you can reach that feat and take the people's championship and you become the people's champion, whoa.
Okay, so with that being said, what would be the bigger match for? No, honestly, I can see a world we could probably get both of them, both these matches done. Oh, wait, can we? Let's see. Well, honestly, no. Hear me out. Night one WrestleMania, we do Roman versus Solo. Okay. Also, Cody versus Rock. Night two,
Mm.
we get Rock and Roman.
So night one, Cody and Roman. Night two,
No, no, no,
Rocket.
no, 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 no. Night one, Roman and Solo. Also, night one, Cody and Rock.
And then night two have them double down again.
Night two, we just get Rock and Roman.
Mm.
Because I'm of the belief that if the big man's in the fold, we don't necessarily have to have Roman Cody 3 at WrestleMania if he's in the picture. You can wait till maybe a SummerSlam, maybe a Survivor Series next year. Because if I'm not mistaken, uh, Mania, I think 2026 will be in Indianapolis. I think Indianapolis paid for 3 PLEs, big PLEs.
Could we see a winner take all since it's Vegas. Like I feel like they gave us in Philly a bloodline. That was a new match at the time, something
Or
different. I
hmm,
mean, it was nothing more than a no disqualification match, but just to roll out the format of how the bloodline went, the bloodline rules match, I should say, it was kind of like Rock and Roman could say anything.
or also with the subject of Cody and Rock, would that have to be at Mania? Because you got Survivor Series in a couple weeks. There's still time to set that up. Realistically, you could also set something up for the Rumble, plausibly even Elimination Chamber. And I think those are the only PLEs before WrestleMania.
I just feel like the intrigue for me for the Rock is like there's still so much that we could do one on one with the Rock that we haven't even got to, and even team
O-
up wise.
Off the bat, you got Rock Roman, you got Rock Cody, you got Rock Seth.
And yes, that's the one I was thinking about first, Rock Seth, to be honest.
And then also for a first time ever match, believe it or not, shock and awe, Rock and Randy.
Because we
Rock
also,
Cena.
yeah, we got that moment where Seth was about to attack the Rock and didn't Roman spear him?
Mm-hmm. And then let's not forget, we may or may not have the rematch of Rock and Brock in the wings.
And then, spoiler alert, because by the time this drops, I'm assuming it won't be next Monday yet. And some of you guys might have seen what's going on Twitter. The Usos and Sami Zayn went to go help Seth Rollins. So we'll see where Seth, like,
I,
how
mm,
much Seth is poked before he kind of got to re-enter the fold himself. What you thinking?
I'd much rather see Seth on Solo's team
Mm.
because of the simple fact that that's an extra log to throw in the everlasting fire of Seth and Roman. Also, you can throw that. You can steadily throw that in for Seth and Cody as well because Cody can hit him with the "How could you?" and Seth could retort, "How could you side with him?"
Oof.
Much like how KO did with him.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
But
I think anybody that says they don't want the Rock at WrestleMania, like, come on, let's not make this stale, man. It's 2 nights of WrestleMania. Like, there's definite way you can fit the final boss on one.
well,
Last
I'm
year,
saying I
I'd
don't
admit,
want him there. I'm just stating that given the plausible card of what we could get, could we afford to not have him featured?
oh yeah, we've been afforded not to have him the last few years before he's re-entered the picture. But I think it's no denial what he adds to the game, what he adds to the presence, the aura, the vibe. Like he adds, he don't take away. Just when they thought he was gonna take away, when it was Rock versus Roman and Cody had to give up that spot, we get the final boss. We get addition by subtraction. Okay, y'all don't want the gym, just bring it, Rock. Say less.
We get the Cody crybabies. We, we,
Ultimate.
we get my favorite line from his IG. Off is a place you can fuck. We get Rock whooping the dog shit out of Cody with the weight belt.
And I'm not gonna lie, that was some of the best WWE programming. Like in terms of, there was people that was blur, like felt like they was blurring the lines of reality. Like whoa, they still oh.
I mean, no pun intended. He's the man in charge. You go tell the man that signed your check what he can and can't do.
So like, come on.
But with Rock back in the picture, it's unfortunate that Triple H can't have no part in it
Right. I agree.
because those two again. If those in chat, if you please look up their work in years past, you talk about Brett and Sean having magic together. Rock and Triple H, magic.
I mean, even down to the later year when we got the tease with Ronda Rousey and Rock and Steph and Triple H. And then
Or
we got the Ronda and Kurt Angle instead.
even later down the road where it was I want to say it was a random SmackDown, and Rock pulls up, and him and Triple H are in the office area. Stephanie McMahon steps aside because they're all going to go out, have dinner, whatever, just catch up, and they're just passive aggressively just taking shots or whatever, and you can see in their face that they legit feel some type of way about each other. It's deeper than just business.
Even WrestleMania 40 press conference, Rock's the way he got in his face. You better fix this shit.
Uh-huh.
It kind of felt like, oh shit, I want to see how Triple H reacts to him. You know what I'm saying? Like the old cerebral assassin.
And Triple H is going, "You're lucky I got the pacemaker in. Otherwise, I'd be in your ass right now."
Yeah.
But then again, I can see a world in which Triple H comes out, and as crazy, this is probably the most unlikely way of doing it, but we won't hear "Time to Play the Game." We won't hear "King of Kings." Imagine if we hear the theme to Evolution.
Man.
We haven't heard that in over about 10 years, maybe longer than that. And if we hear that with Triple H and Randy coming out, and we build up Randy and Rock, WWE's the two first third generation wrestlers they've ever had.
Nah, that'd be, yeah. Whew.
And this is a match that's literally 20 years in the making.
They've never locked horns, right?
Never, no. Well, they one time WrestleMania 20 where it was Evolution versus Rock and Sock Connection.
Wow.
That was it. At the
That's
Garden.
That's not enough. That's not enough.
Only time.
They had to do that whole WrestleMania over. You talk about same Goldberg and Lesnar Mania, yeah, they right there. That whole Mania is done
that
over.
very
Yeah.
same Mania.
Yeah. Yep.
The same Mania where we got one of the greatest triple threat matches of all time. The same match or Mania where we got an absolute classic with Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero. So many memorable matches.
Yeah. Everything bad from the pay-per-view we got to redo.
But again, but also again, I don't think Cena. I think no, Cena was on the following Mania because that's when he won his first championship.
Mm.
But again, just if we hear Evolution's theme one more time and it involves The Rock in a program, I'm set. That's about as good as we're gonna get as Hogan coming out to Voodoo Child.
Nah, you can't go wrong. That's what I was saying earlier with Danny Bryan's situation. I was more on the side of seeing Evolution versus but that was a whole different conversation. We could save that for another sidebar topic, WrestleMania 30. You know what I'm saying, when we go down the route. But yeah, for me, the final boss I say that's a go. I say that's somebody you might, because especially like the Audible, one thing I'm saying watching wrestling for as many years, I'm 33 years old. I remember maybe 1995, my father holding me in his arms, trying to scare me with the Undertaker's music and turning the lights off. Like we've been watching that far. You know what I'm saying? So seeing everything and how this man can pivot off of what the crowd is doing, come back with a new setup for his character, and within weeks, and every week is a new layer. Like I'm be honest, with that final boss, we seen the $500 shirt cut down. Oh shit, we getting vibes.
Like the Versace vest in this image right here.
Yep. Then we get the little changes to the music, the
The remix
demeanor.
of Hollywood Rock's theme.
Yeah, like oh man. To the
The
point that
WrestleMania 19 theme, essentially.
I'm gonna be honest too, and this is probably a hot take. After listening to both of them in person, this new OTC music, I enjoy it, but not as much as the first Tribal Chief music. That's one. Two, I feel like the way that the final boss might have switched his music might have influenced a Roman switch up for the way that it is now with the doo doo doo.
Yeah, so
But
the drums in the opening is probably the only thing that's better about the original song.
yeah, but outside of that, it's kind of like I think the first one was better, but like you said, that addition of like it gave me a final boss vibe. Like, okay, he added to it.
Yeah, here
So
comes him.
again, influence. The final boss feel like he creates influence. Like, you know what I'm saying? What we was mentioning on a whole different topic earlier, when Roman first came back, he kind of still had like a remix of the Shield music. You know what I'm saying?
Remix, hell, it was a Shield music. It's just the
Yeah, just
instrumental.
without the yeah, basically. So yeah, Chad, give us your thoughts on, you know what I'm saying? Where do y'all feel the final boss, The Rock, finds a place on WrestleMania 41? Does he even have a place on 41? Do you think, like Razor said, we got Cena's retirement tour coming up? We could potentially get a last Goldberg match at WrestleMania. There's
We have maybe a Brock coming back,
a lot of things on the table.
but I think you and I are both in agreement that I wouldn't say that he's not needed, but he's a necessary attachment to the show.
Oh yeah. And it's always, to me, it's always good not knowing now at this stage, like you said, there's so much going on that the excitement when he does pull up at the end of the Bad Blood PLE, it was done so well, like in my opinion.
And as fans, we love the unexpected.
And it's so as well as he's healthy and available, because the best ability is availability. We don't even need the actual match. Like he could just appear at WrestleMania, right? Set up next year's Mania.
Yeah. Or it could be like, I think this also might have been, was it WrestleMania 30 when he had the match with Eric Rowan when he's playing with that big ass flamethrower.
Yeah, and it was a 7-second match. He just rock bottomed them. Bow, one,
Yeah,
two,
just
three. You
ripped off
mount.
the pants, pulled out the elbow pads from his tights, and he's good to go.
Yeah. What they like to call them, an impromptu match.
Yeah.
Kind of like when Cena was sitting at ringside trying to bait Taker for that match.
Yep, and he just having a couple beers.
Yeah. Which probably might have been the reason he lost that match. He looking a little slow.
You a little turnt. I mean, those
Man,
are bigger than a pint. And he's been known to drink many folks and many Samoans under the table.
man. That's a sidebar fun moment. Imagine if like they'll put in WWE game and like let's say they relive Taker's moments again. He's beating Cena, but you got to play as Cena or like with his vision blurred because he's had these
Like in
beards from
GTA.
ringside. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? A little distorted vision from having a couple brews over at ringside. Man, it'll be some nice little fun callbacks right there in the video game for them. But yeah, anything you want to finish on with the final boss before we get on to our next segment?
No, if Chad has any other sidebar questions this topic, I'll be happy to address them should they bring them up.
All right, yeah, chat. We need y'all in the chat to stay active with us, man. Cause you know what I'm saying? When I say we, that's y'all included. We make this shit go round. So you know what I'm saying? We gonna definitely keep an eye for your comments and stick with us, cause we gonna get to the final segment. It is gonna be brand warfare. So stick around, y'all. That we appreciate y'all been here the whole way through the long form of this episode. For the final segment right here, we got brand warfare.
Hold on, wait.
Wow.
Chilling at the head of the table where the boss is sitting, stunning everything in sight, whether it's in the blood.
Yes, sir.
Walking out there ain't a big smile, or handcuffed by officers. Hold on, wait, I think they lost the script. We got some shooters.
We ain't on duty if we ain't got a doobie. Come on.
At the head of the table where the boss is sitting, stunning everything in sight, whether it's in the bloodline or corporate. Walk me out the arena, big smile, or handcuffed by officers. Hold on, wait, I think they lost the script. We got some shooters.
Wow. Chat, I want to thank y'all so much. Once again, if y'all in long form watching the whole episode, we appreciate y'all. If y'all just tuning in right now for short form, the topic is going to be brand warfare. My brother Razor, the authority, man. How you feeling, man?
Man, I am incredible right now.
Yes, sir. Feeling nice, feeling good? Boy, got them drinks on deck. Man, just a brief chat.
Nice little nightcap.
Yes, sir. I gotta drink responsibly. The last time I had some drinks, man, I was drinking them things like they was water. I'm out in like I'm Austin, one beer, but they weren't beers, they were shots. Like one shot, two. What was that? What? One shot,
What?
two shots.
What? One beer. What? Two beers. What?
What?
Three beers. What? A shot
A
of
shot
vodka.
of
What?
vodka.
A
What?
Bloody Mary. What?
Man, you went. Yeah, that's how I was giving it up that day.
Yeah, folks, we would have had a show during NXT 23 Hundo, but someone
Man.
had tucked into bed.
Man, I was treating what was that was a two that was a Wednesday night. That was when they was headed to that. I was treating Wednesday night like it was a Friday night. I was living my best life, chat. Tell you that
Love to see
honestly.
it.
But once again, before we start the segment, man, go hit that QR code and take you to the song Off the Hip. We really do enjoy and appreciate all the support and make everything go round like I've been saying. And that's no fluff right there. It's all tough. Now let's get into it, man. Brand Warfare, SmackDown versus Raw. It says featuring TNA. I thought this was a little cool art I found. But it's really we talking about Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, man. Brand Warfare. Where do we stand with it, Razor?
It's a tale as old as time. It's something that has been experimented with in years past. It's shown promise over the years throughout the majority of our childhood and adolescence. And for whatever reason, the previous regime got bored of it. Just call it what it is. But now,
Definitely got bored with it.
in this day and age, the respective brands, NXT included, and for the sake of conversation, we could throw TNA as well, they have never been stronger. So
Man, I couldn't agree more.
I've talked about maybe bringing back Evolution 2 for the women. Now more than ever, it would be a very strong test for all parties involved to reintroduce brand warfare. Who's got the better show? Is it Raw? Is it SmackDown? Is it NXT? All rosters are stacked. It's who is the true top dog?
And I like how when we was talking about on our episode earlier, um, of the Raw recap, we was talking about if the next PLE Survivor Series was to lead into a Royal Rumble and who gets number 30 and the losing brand gets number 1, the sole survivors are automatically in the Rumble. The ones who weren't sole survivors, you got to fight your way in. Yeah, you're not
You
even
ain't winning the match.
yeah, tough love, fuck it.
Because
But
hypothetically speaking, say we have a Survivor Series match that has on one side Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, blah blah blah. On another side, you got Jey Uso, you got Sami Zayn, Gunther. Say Robbie SmackDown, you got 3 major players that will not be featured in the Rumble because they couldn't get the job done.
and also just to put a spin on things, if you want to include NXT into a Survivor Series match, you can. But my idea is this: you can have a fun little match where it's babyface versus heels, and the same things. The winners could go into the Rumble, or this, you know what I'm saying? We'll figure a way that those winners and losers will get a prize, or they just won't get nothing at all. But if you want to include NXT, because I've been feeling like the vibe I've been getting, especially with the way that WWE Deadline was promoted today. It was promoted as such, WWE Deadline.
Is it WWE Deadline? It's not NXT Deadline?
It said WWE Deadline on the episode of Raw. That's why I asked, but I looked it up, and like you said, it's an NXT PLE.
December 7th, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah. Interesting.
but it was on the right hand lower corner. There was no NXT logo on it. It had the good old WWE logo above Deadline.
And if this means if this is a sign of NXT being a third brand, all the more reason.
And they're going on the road. They're going, I think, out Midwest for that PLE. So that's far from the home territory of Florida, if you ask me. That's really them testing the market right there. Like they branching out from now. This wouldn't be the first time they've done hell PLEs over in California. You know what I'm saying? In Sacramento. So it wouldn't be their first time. But what I'm saying, this is the first time under the NXT and under CW. I feel like we're getting a different vibe. That's what I'm.
Let's see,
Like, it's
because
a
Halloween
different.
Havoc was in Hershey, PA. That's still to a degree. You can call that the East Coast.
Yeah,
This one's gonna be in Minnesota.
yeah. Like that's why I was like, okay, hold on. I thought it was a PLE, but like you said, Ava had announced this, so it was announced from NXT general manager. But again, I feel like we've seen Ava on Raw, or was it a SmackDown or Raw? Which I think it was with Adam Pearce.
It might have been a SmackDown
What
because
Aldis?
there was a period where all three of them were on the same show for a couple shows.
Yep. And that's another way to establish NXT as the third brand. You have Ava be respected by her manager peers and not looked at like, oh well, you just run NXT, so you really can't. We can't hold no valid conversations. They've obviously been showing her respect towards her talent.
And from what I've seen on NXT,
It was Adam Pearce, Ethan Page, CM Punk.
that's what it was. Yeah, but from what I've seen on NXT from her, she's got her father's sassiness.
I
The
feel like
apple don't fall far from the tree with that one.
when she was part of the schism, it was a little different. I think they was just throwing her out there to see, but I think she's coming into her role right
No.
now.
She's been great as NXT's GM,
Yeah,
and especially I'm surprised that she hasn't invoked her father's name in NXT yet. Now that could be him in the future, who knows? But it's one of those don't make me call him. I'm waiting for that moment. And then could you imagine if we see the final boss pull up on NXT to either Ethan Page, a Trick Williams, maybe even a Wesley?
and just to make everything come full circle, like you talk about brand supremacy, I think we got our first taste of that at Crown Jewel. Like we seen both champions fight, but not for a unification match. No, this was to in lack of terms, the Crown Jewel champion, right? The who's the better champion of the two, and they get to walk around with that Super Bowl ring. The championship stays in Saudi, but that's one form of brand supremacy.
Had Nia would have won that match, I would have been on board with that theory.
The only thing I say is not really brand supremacy, is more individuality, because the person who wins that match could walk around with 3 rings and done did it on 3 different brands, let's say, or done did it on Raw twice and once on SmackDown. So I wouldn't really say it's brand supremacy as it is more an individual accolade, but I think that's our first taste of what it can look like.
You know what's funny? You know what the last, I guess, thing we got close to brand warfare that we got?
What's that?
Way back in the early Saudi days, remember when they were stuck on that plane or whatever, allegedly held hostage or whatever the fuck it was?
That they delayed their flights, they couldn't come home.
and Triple H had to call up like all the big heavy hitters from NXT,
Mm-hmm.
and then Triple H led that "We Are NXT" promo into SmackDown. That's the closest we got to something like that in the past.
Yeah, like the concept of the king, and again, the king and queen of the ring tournament was a taste of that because I felt like why not just put a tournament where everybody mixed up, one Raw, one SmackDown. It was like, okay, one side of the bracket is SmackDown, the other side is Raw, and the best from each side will link up at the end, which that's cool too. It wasn't a problem because it gave us Randy versus Gunther. Again, a taste of that brand supremacy.
Now, if we incorporate NXT, that'll be the only way I'll allow your little fantasy of triple threats to continue.
Oh, it has to be that way. Yeah.
Because didn't they do it for Survivor Series a few years ago, where it was Raw, SmackDown, and NXT?
And at that point, I
They
feel
did it
like
like they did it once or twice.
you get more out of it because now you're throwing three competitors from three different brands, not just three people that's all on the same show. And it feels kind of like we can branch off like what we doing with the bloodline or the stories that cross over. Now you could get crossover storylines happening out of these brand warfare matches.
And it puts more eyes in your newer product in NXT. Because imagine, say we have the IC champ, US champ, and North American champ. So in this case, you would have what, Tony D'Angelo versus LA Knight versus uh, Braun Breaker. Not a bad matchup if you think about it. Or for you'd have Cody, Gunther, and Trick Williams.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, there's
very,
definitely a lot you could do with it too. Like, I
and
mean,
also again, it's a good showing as to who would be actually be ready and who would be well accepted on the main roster. Should you
hmm
do a little switcheroo? I mean, yeah, it's one thing to put them in the crowd every so often or whatever, but you're not really gonna know unless you play their music, let them do their shit, and let them throw down with the heavy hitters.
it's so much that it's really so much that you can do. You know what I'm saying? Like what I envision too is like, let's say you got the North American champion versus the Intercontinental champion versus the United States champion, and that winner is guaranteed a heavyweight championship opportunity to whichever brand in the near future, almost like a Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank kind of opportunity, but they earned that opportunity at a future time.
Or like we touched on earlier, winners locked in for the Rumble.
Yeah, anything.
I mean, yeah, I mean, quick sidebar with this, like, are we with as deep as the rosters are the aside from the returning stars from injuries and the occasional free agent, are the Rumble surprises even needed anymore?
Only if you're gonna really bring somebody that AJ Styles that came through from Japan that we might have thought now, or a hot free agent
Yeah,
that
I mean, granted, there's not that many free agents anymore. We got a few folks coming from injury, but that's about it.
you did Jordan Grace. You bring somebody from TNA, a guy Moose, or you test the waters with one of the fellas this time. You did it with Jordan Grace. You know what I'm saying?
Have Matter Jeff Hardy pull up. Your boy Joe Hendry,
Yeah, I
or
mean,
do you go? You can go a little deeper, bring in someone from, say, a Pro Wrestling Noah like Naomichi Murafuji.
the next time we see Nick Nemeth is on WWE programming with the TNA Championship.
Oh, no, people will be chanting Dolph, or I think we're forgetting a big name in his own right, Matt Cardona. He'd probably get something as close as like a Steve Austin pop should he return to WWE.
The thing about, yeah, I agree with you with the Dolph thing. I think since Dolph is kind of still like it's weird. It's like when they bring back Trinity, she went back to being Naomi, right? Like,
Yeah.
so the Dolph thing is kind of like a little, unless they make the screen wipe away, like it say Dolph Ziggler and then it wipes away to say Nick Nemeth, but it's still got
So
the same music.
or we start off with the show off theme, hit the record scratch, and then you play Nemesis TNA theme or something like that.
Oh, oh.
Have you heard Nick Nemesis TNA theme?
Briefly, like when I hear the uploads on Twitter and stuff, like when they got his
It,
entrance
it,
and stuff,
it sounds
I
like
haven't got a
peak.
good listen though.
It sounds like peak 1980s hair metal. It suits him perfectly.
Mm.
Just picture something out of like, let's see, May what the hell's the name of that movie? Something out of Top Gun, basically.
And I feel like the transition would be like colorway wise. You know how his show off was kind of like blue or black and pink, and then it transitioned into that black, red, and yellow he's doing
Hmm.
now. It'd be crazy. It'd be dope, man. With the TNA championship as well. Like,
And
and you
then
let him throw out a few people too, though. You don't just have him come through and
because remember, this is a former world champion for WWE. He ain't no slouch.
yeah.
Actually, isn't he a Grand Slam champion? I'm pretty
I
sure
think. I mean,
he might
I
be.
he's held both the heavyweight belts.
And the tag belts, and I think both mid card belts. Yeah, he's a Grand Slam champion.
Hmm. Yeah, so I think like brand warfare, that's something like you said back in the day, they got a little bored with it and started giving us rinse and repeat shit that didn't matter, like a Raw versus SmackDown team, and what were they fighting for? I remember going to the last Survivor Series that was Raw versus SmackDown, the 19 in Brooklyn at Barclays, right before pandemic, and yeah,
Is that the one that had
Big E was champion then.
what you call no, I was thinking of the one where you had AJ and KO on one side. Jericho was still there doing the list. You had Ambrose there doing some dumb shit. And it was a very random assortment of people.
I'm trying to look it up right now for us. I said 2019. I might be wrong. It might have been
Might have been a year or
either,
two before that.
yeah, it might have been it might have been 18 or 20.
But yeah, but while you're looking up that, I mean, I
Oh,
just
actually, I'm lying. It was the 2021 Survivor Series, fresh off the pandemic. I said before the pandemic. It was right after. I'm looking at it right now. November 21st, 2021, Brooklyn, New York, Barclays Center. Big E's on the cover, and he had got like that Tron looking cover.
uh-huh.
Main event was Roman Reigns defeated Big E, so Big E wasn't on the team. I remember him being on the cover though. Team Raw: Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Austin Theory, and Bobby Lashley with MVP defeated Team SmackDown. Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, King Woods,
That's
Happy Corbin,
right.
and Sheamus.
That's right. Yeah.
That
That was
went
a
on for
bad one.
30 minutes.
That was a I mean that's a little short for a Survivor Series match. I remember when they used to be 45 to an hour,
Yeah,
but they were it was, again, it was war then.
man. The sole survivor, Seth Rollins. Then on the female side of things, we had Team Raw: Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and Queen Zelina defeated Team SmackDown. Sasha Banks, Shayna Baszler, Shotzi, Natalia, and Toni Storm. Now, I'm not gonna lie, that sounded like it cooked. I don't really remember it like that, to be honest.
I couldn't even tell you.
Man, yeah, that was that right there. That was the last one that I feel was a Raw versus Team SmackDown, so to speak, versus Team Raw, and it accumulated to nothing. Like just a good old fashioned Survivor Series match. Just
Oh
cause.
boy.
Then they right after that, they had a dual brand battle royal, The Rock 25th anniversary battle royal.
That's
Oh,
what I remember about it.
Omos won by eliminating Ricochet.
That's what I remember about that bullshit. And then uh, one of my favorite ones. It was a 4-on-4, not a 5v5. You had Randy Orton leading the team of Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, and Maven, where they defeated Triple H, Batista, Edge, and Gene Snitsky with Ric Flair at ringside.
Look at this. RK Bro versus the Usos.
I
Raw
remember that
versus
one.
SmackDown.
And then there was one where DX had the Hardys and I think Rey Mysterio.
Again, you know what this like, all right. So if you got a tag team versus tag team match, this is probably how I would have booked it. 'Cause I ain't see a tag team elimination chamber in a while. But okay, if I do a future champion versus champion, let's say Motor City Machine Guns, because they got the championship now versus Finn Balor and JD, right?
Mm-hmm.
The loser got to defend the championship in the elimination chamber. The winner get to chill now. That's they because there's nothing to really fight towards because they're already champions, right? Like
And then probably the peak of the brand warfare. It was the what year was this? The 2005 Survivor Series. Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. 24 minutes, 1 second. Representing Team SmackDown, Batista, Bobby Lashley, JBL, Randy Orton, Rey Mysterio. Defeating Team Raw, Big Show, Kane, Carlito, Chris Masters, and the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
did you touch on when Sting came back? Oh well, not came back, but when Sting had his debut at the Survivor Series when he helped Dolph win over
That
the
that was what 2014, 2015.
around that. Like, yeah, even if you're not gonna give us something concrete until it's okay, give us a memorable moment, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, The Rock debuted at Survivor Series. Taker debuted at Survivor Series. Didn't the Shield debut at Survivor Series as well?
I
Let's see.
believe so, yeah.
Yep, Survivor Series 2012.
Yeah, so like, yeah, I mean, I think War Games should be a match announced. Like, for example, I'm not saying the bloodline shouldn't be in there, but if we are gonna have a secondary match, it shouldn't just be the women's. And I hate to say this because I'm definitely not against women having their own match, but it's just like we shouldn't just put them in a match for the sake of having a woman compete in a War Games match. Like, I think it'd be entertaining to have one woman apiece with Wyatt Six and Final Testament and the Miz. Like,
That'd be
what can come
different
out of that? Yeah, it'll be different.
because with War Games, again, it's same way we used to treat Hell in the Cell. Same way we used to treat the strap match order. It's the end of a feud, the end of a war.
And even so, in this case with the Wyatts, since their shit is so more fresh, you could still build it up for the next few weeks, but that could be their little playpen, so to speak. Little madness, a house of madness. Like it is war games. All the crazy shit they could probably get away with doing in that type of match. Opposed to a regular 6-man match where there's disqualifications. They
I
could get
mean,
off doing so much fun shit. with the Y6 and Final Testament and Miz and this shit. If we're gonna want to have a secondary match, I'm not calling for it to be the only match. Just saying, if we're gonna have a secondary,
My concern with Final Testament and Y6 is we're gonna get a gimmick match at the PLE.
and I think that's okay for them, because I need fun out of them.
You
I think
got
we
it's
over.
one of those things like we touched on when Y6 debuted. You got to be careful to not fall too deep in the Fiend and Bray stuff.
Hmm.
We want you to branch out on your own. If you want to go down this road, that's cool. But if you want to be treated as more than just that, you got to carve your own path.
Again, today on Monday Night Raw, when he was selling the or lack of selling the attack, he's laughing, right? So it's like that in itself lets me know there should be some kind of like House of Horrors kind of vibe going on where
Well,
like,
Bo's been doing that since he re-debuted.
and that kind
To
of upsets me that,
to a degree, Braun Reed's kind of done the same. But instead of laughing, he just pops right up after almost being dead.
and at least we seen Bronson Reed in a monster among men match, right? Last man standing for different terms, but I feel like we've been seeing Bo Dallas or the the Wyatt 6 in regular singles matches, and I think, in my just my opinion, they can do much more. Given like there's no count outs, we not watching. Why haven't they counted out? Or like, you know what I'm saying? They can spend more time out the ring or bring stuff into
I
the ring.
honestly would love to see any iteration of Rowan, Loomis, and Gacy versus War Raiders or AOP.
See, that should have cooked, but it got to
Any
be done
iteration of
right.
those three.
Hmm. It was kind of like they like a little bit with Gable. They backtracked. They had things go a little bit backwards. They had Gable and Uncle Howdy go 1-on-1, and then gave us the 6-man match after.
I guess in it to a degree, they probably dropped the ball in. I want to say insult our intelligence. It's just I guess they probably didn't expect us to be a fan or have a level of appreciation for the faction because in their minds it's probably just a tribute to Bray.
Hmm.
It's I don't know if it's obvious to many, but to me it seems very eminent that it's destined to be so much more than just a memorial tribute. So like I said, that's where I feel that they kind of have. I mean, again, they're being careful with it. Again, nothing wrong with that, but you don't want to go too far down the funny ha ha stuff because again, we saw how the stuff with the Fiend turned out.
It's a very delicate situation. That's why I feel like at this point,
And also, you can make an argument that in this in this day and age, is a supernatural character like that, can it gain the same mileage as it did 20, 30 years ago?
mm,
Now, granted, in the independents, you have folks trying with the I guess do you want to call them the cheap imitations of Kane?
mm,
I mean, it's they're trying to recreate that stuff. And then you also have on AW the House of Black stuff. Whenever we see Malachi Black, but it seems that he may be on his way back to WWE. That's a story for a different day. But again, is the supernatural stuff is that since dated itself? Is the
yeah,
question.
it has, because you got to protect the gimmick too. Like you said, you got to be very delicate with every situation in this day and age. So a lot of things can be receptive in a good way one week, and then the next week the fans are being fickle. They don't like what they see, and that's just the
And
reality.
another example in today's day and age. would the Firefly Funhouse match or Undertaker's Boneyard match get the same rapport as it did during the pandemic? Probably not, unfortunately.
Mm-mm. Yeah, probably not. Not gonna lie.
Now, depending on where you're overseas, you might get away with it because, again, that crowd doesn't see WWE very often. So, again, you might get away with certain corners here and there. But, again, Wyatt Six is in a weird spot. No fault of their own. It's just one of those things. But me, as a fan of all their work, respectively, I would like them to be more than just the gimmick because they can be more than just the gimmick.
I mean, I think that's right now though, in these early stages, I think that's where they're gonna be. I don't want to say stuck. Stuck is probably the wrong word, but right now, I'm not mad at them being at these stages.
Because if you think about it, they're going on 4 or 5 months already.
Hmm. And they haven't done much.
Yeah. Now
And,
we'll see where this leads. Hopefully, somewhere that's prosperous for all parties involved. Again, Bo and Cross are two probably the most creative minds that they have on the roster. And with Miz being on board of that, adds a whole nother layer. Um, Again, you can always throw Braun Strowman back in the mix. There's been a heavy calling for them to once she's ready to come back to immediately reintroduce Alexa Bliss.
they got some more stuff on their hands right there. But again, the real topic is brand warfare, right? So it's like this would be the last time that I would want to see a war game set up because of these issues right here. We're not going to have some. I'm
And,
not saying the ladies can't come up with nothing fun, but I think there's more in the storyline with the Final Testament and
and,
Wyatt's right now.
and I think for the stipulation in general, much like now if you add significance to the other stipulations, you might make a case for elimination chamber stuff like that. But for war games right now, there's no real need for it to be every year. Just like there wasn't a need for Hell in a Cell matches every year.
That might just be a thing Triple H is holding on to because that's like one of his babies right there from NXT, and he was able to bring it up from Survivor Series. But I hope that it becomes one of those things like that the rivalry needs, not the match needs competitors. The only thing that should be like that is the Royal Rumble, in my opinion, and the King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring,
Again, you could probably hold on to Money in the Bank, and then
and that as well. I mean, yeah,
or see, this is where I would have preferred the Chamber to be before the Rumble as opposed to after the Rumble, because you could have easily said, okay, whoever wins the Elimination Chamber is number 30 in the Rumble or something like that, or
but remember, the Elimination Chamber used to be kind of like the
just
gateway of if you didn't win the Royal Rumble, that was like for the other brand to kind of
you get a world
have,
title shot.
yeah. So that's why I was okay with the placement of
But they veered
Elimination
away from that
Chamber.
over the years.
Yeah, like it kind of didn't lead to this being so significant. It became okay, we're just gonna throw a champion in there. Just whoever's champion around this time period.
Sometimes
What?
just 6 dudes. On a couple of instances, have we had tag teams in there? Yeah, we had
Yeah,
a
we had.
tag team one before. Yeah,
Yeah, I think we've had one for the Intercontinental Championship. We've had the
no,
woman. No, I think it was one.
a
It was
secondary
one.
belt has not been in a chamber yet.
No. Okay. So it must have been the tag team I'm thinking
That
about. But I don't even think that was
that's
for
why
the belts.
that's why I was preaching around the early summertime that you could probably get at least definitely U.S. and IC belts, get them in the chamber. Because at the time when I was talking about it for IC, you had Braun, you had Jay, you had Ilya, you had Sheamus, you had Ricochet. You could have thrown any random person for the 6, and then on SmackDown for the U.S. title, you have LA Knight, you have Andrade, you have Mello. You could have thrown in KO, Randy, and Logan Paul.
No, hold on. We stand corrected.
Ooh, do tell.
In 2015,
Of course, but no one's watching.
correct. Ryback defeated Sheamus, Dolph Ziggler, Mark Henry, R-Truth, and King Barry for the vacant WWE Intercontinental Championship. That's also the same year that we've seen the Tag Team Elimination Chamber for the WWE Championship.
Why
The
don't I
New
remember the?
Day defeated the Primetime Players, Tyson Kidd and
Uh-huh.
Cesaro, the Ascension, the Lucha Dragons, and Los Matadores.
Why don't I remember the IC match? Wow.
You know why I feel like I remembered that? Because
I remember the tag match, not the IC title match.
I remember it being like that match that, like you said, nobody like kind of cared for. So I knew one of those took place. I just don't remember when.
I
But
love it when I'm wrong.
I don't think they did a United States one. Let me go look.
Wow.
Unless they did, and I'm wrong on that too. Wow.
Like
I
they have?
think I'm wrong on that too. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Lay it on me.
I'm kind of surprised because this one is more recent memory. We should remember this. Okay, so Austin Theory would defend his title against 5 elite challenges inside the career-altering elimination chamber. He would defend against Montez Ford, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Seth Rollins, and Damian Priest.
That was for the US belt?
Yep.
Holy fuck.
And that happened February 18th, 2023.
I gotta work on my memory.
The last superstar remaining will be the US champion heading down the road to WrestleMania. I guess at that time, that's when
Is that when
okay.
Oscar was in that weird limbo? Oh no, that was his Money in the Bank run.
Now Austin Theory walked in as champion, but I'm pretty sure he didn't walk out as champion.
Who else was in the match? So oh, it was last year, huh?
I'm gonna go back to it right now. I'll let you know. What I said that was 2023. All right, so in that match, we got he did walk out as champion. Austin Theory defeated Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Johnny Gargano, Montez Ford, and Seth freaking Rollins for the United States Championship.
And then now that's also when we got also that was also in Canada. That's where we got Sammy versus Roman.
Yep. Wow. So we already got the United States and Intercontinental and non-memorable
Oh,
affairs.
that's right. This was a weird one
Well, one
because
that we haven't got is the United States Women's Championship.
to be determined. That well, shit, that could be next year. No, but this was the card. Asuka beat Carmella, Liv Morgan, Natalia, and Nikki Cross and Raquel Rodriguez. Bobby Lashley beat Brock by DQ.
I forgot
Edge
about
and Beth Phoenix beat the Judgment Day of Finn Rhea with Dominic.
that. Wow.
Yeah, that's right. This is a weird one. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Vince might have still been around.
This might have been the last one he did before they started weeding him out.
Yeah, this is weird. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm even looking at the women's chamber match and who was eliminated by who.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember this is when they thought Montez Ford was gonna go on his little singles
That's
run right here.
right. That's
Yeah,
right, because he
he
was
felt
showing out
out
in
in
that match.
December. Yeah, yeah.
Because I remember going ape shit. I'm like, are they finally gonna do something with him? And then
Bronson Reed was eliminated by Montez Ford. Johnny Gargano eliminated by Priest. Damian Priest by Montez Ford. And
Theory
then,
got the sweep.
yep, then Theory, I guess he got the pinfall on Ford and Rollins at the same time.
Yeah.
What a weasel. What a weasel. You gotta love it. I mean,
That's
listen, we see that technically could have been Montez Ford's single run right there, and like,
and that would have set the world ablaze because he was showing out in that match.
man, what could have
That's,
been.
so maybe because he didn't win, my brain just said, no, we're erasing that shit.
Part of me feel like that's kind of the same way Kofi's run happened. So I think they didn't want to do it the same way. Remember, Kofi showed out in that Elimination Chamber match leading up to Kofi Mania.
And then during the post show, Austin Theory issued an open challenge that was accepted by Edge that took place on the following episode of Raw. Edge lost due to interference from Finn Balor.
Hmm. Okay, so at least last year they started making way for what I'm talking about now. Last
A little
year,
bit.
yep, Elimination Chamber match for a Women's World Championship match at WrestleMania XL. Becky Lynch defeated Bianca, Liv, Naomi, Raquel, Tiffany. And then on the men's side, you got the Elimination Chamber match for a World Heavyweight Championship match at WrestleMania XL. Drew McIntyre defeated Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens, LA Knight, Logan Paul, and Randy Orton. Mm.
Which was the one where Brock Lesnar got bored and broke through the pod?
That's when he F5'd
Theory.
I want to say that's like 21. I could be wrong though.
Let's see. Because that main event was Drew and Roman.
Nah, I wasn't 21.
Had to be 22 maybe.
Mm, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yep. And then okay, they already gave Saudi that elimination chamber happened in Saudi. So that's another event kind of that flew under the radar as being
Yeah, because this also on that one you had Becky beating Lita, Drew McIntyre beat Madcap Moss, Naomi and Ronda beat Charlotte and Sonya. I forgot Naomi and Ronda were tag team champions.
who?
Naomi and
Naomi?
Ronda.
What? Nah. And that happened what last year? 2 years
This
ago?
the 2022. This was
2 years ago, like 2.5 February. 'Cause we're about to touch February soon. So that's
yeah,
really gonna be three
yeah,
years.
because
So
Ray, uh this was when Dominic was still a babyface and Ray beat the Miz to open the show. Roman beat Goldberg by submit. This is when Roman was using the guillotine. Bianca beat Alexa Bliss, uh, Piper Niven, Liv Morgan, Nikki Cross, and Rhea Ripley. Yeah, Naomi and Ronda beat Charlotte and Sonya.
wow.
Ronda had to wrestle one arm tied behind her back. That's peak Vince right there.
That's crazy.
Oh my god.
Mm. But yeah, I mean, what else you feel like they should touch on with the brand warfare?
Should it return, just stick to it. It's gonna have its peaks and valleys, but it will be worth it in the long run.
I also feel if it don't work, there's nothing wrong with going away from it. It's kind of like I learned in the last few years of watching sports and WWE, you got to roll with the times. And
But also look at it as like how we look at like any sports all-star games, one
yeah,
side versus the other. Look at it that way.
not
But
for real,
again,
because I mean
if
they've
you
even changed the rules to the NBA one where they used to play to the numbers, and I think they're going back to the regular format of how it used to be, where you just
or
play
like
four quarters.
or in baseball during the World Series, whoever wins, whether it be National League, American League, gets home field advantage in
I
the World
mean,
Series.
that's the dopest one to me.
And in this case, you could be like, okay, whichever brand wins, whether it be Raw, SmackDown, maybe NXT, y'all got prime real estate in the Rumble or something like that.
And again, the thing that make these like all-star games special is that if you're not in the same conference, if you're not in the same division, you're not going to see certain matchups all the time, especially due
Mm-hmm.
to injury. You like they've had a stat that was interesting about LeBron and KD that they didn't face up for a couple years until KD went to Phoenix.
Yeah, because
And I
when he was in OKC with Russ, they almost never saw LeBron.
and then the last time was really during that
Maybe
Cavs
what
and Warriors
I'll say
finals.
maybe once a year, if that.
Yeah, during that little stretch, but after LeBron went to the Lakers and KD went to the Nets, and KD was still hurt. They didn't see really each other at all. So it meant those matchups, whenever you seen them on in the game together or against each other, it was special.
Or prime example, later today, Clay's back in the Bay Area. We get Clay versus Steph. I'm sure he'll get a warm welcome by that crowd.
Mm. Clay, that's a whole nother yo, man, that's a whole nother we gotta have chat. Y'all want to get more tapped into us with the sports topic too. Like we got honorable deflections, you know what I'm saying? Y'all could really tap in. Y'all just gotta keep us engaged, man. Let us know what y'all want to see and hear out there. Like, you know what I mean? We that's like
Well,
a sight to be seen. Like you said, Klay Thompson back in Golden State
not only
back
that,
in the
this is
Bay.
this is the start of that in season tournament,
And it's the start of the tournament. Oh man. Nah, there's bragging
and we
rights.
we get we getting Clay and Steph round one.
Even that, like it's some supremacy, right? Like team supremacy there. Like they added even more incentive for teams to want to win. Like dudes get an extra bonus. You know, a bunch of things going on
Uh-huh.
with that. So again, brand supremacy for Raw and SmackDown. It can even put more talent on the screen. Like we seeing 5 match setups. It'll allow for creative ways to put more people in matches and it won't feel so forced. Like
Or since it's one of the big shows, shit, you could do anywhere from 6 to 8 matches.
I was surprised. I looked at SummerSlam. SummerSlam was only 7 matches. They only added
Yeah,
2. When shit is steaming and rolling, and no
you don't
shots
even
to
realize it.
AEW. Yeah, you don't even need all of that. Like
Did you ever
we've
watch
been,
the Snyderverse Justice League movie?
yeah, the black and white one.
No, the Snyder. It was on HBO Max. It wasn't black and white; it was full color, but the runtime was like 4 hours long. It did not feel like a 4 hour movie.
'Cause I felt like I watched the Snyder cut on HBO Max and it was in
Yeah,
black and white.
it wasn't
I
black
think
and white.
that might have been a director's cut or something. I might have watched
Certain
on.
scenes might have been, but
But
no,
I
it
know
wasn't
which one
black.
you I know which one you talk about. That shit was fucking four
Amazing.
hours. It was
It,
4 hours. And
but
it's
to
like
me, it didn't feel
you could
like it.
sit you could sit there and enjoy the 4 hours or sit there and go through a whole movie and feels like it's work. Like damn, I gotta
And,
sit there through
and
four
in this
hours.
case, much like a WWE, PLE, or any type of wrestling pay per view, there was little spots where the scene that quote unquote chapter ended. So do your little intermission, whatever, do your thing, come right back to it. You're chilling.
Yeah, because even some folks could get restless at it. Like, let's say the WrestleManias when they used to have the pre-shows, the matches on the pre, like,
When they're 8 hours long.
yeah, like that, and it makes more sense to cut it just into 2 days. It's just, I don't know, it's just a better feel. So, you know what I'm saying? Brand warfare, I really do hope that they bring it back and just stick to it, like you said. If it's gonna be something that they stick to, then
Or if it's just a Survivor Series thing, treat it like an All-Star game.
yeah.
But again, same with that and the chamber, just solidify it with some sort of significance. Like the winning show gets this, the winning person gets X, Y, and Z. If we're gonna get honestly down the road, say you have the draft right after Survivor Series, you can determine which show gets how many draft picks. And
Yeah,
so
it's so
anything.
many fun things, and just to make to shed a little light of importance on things. You know what I mean? Make things feel more important than just like a side note. Like, cause we are investing our time into certain PLEs, and then they just kind of there for no reason. Like, and that's the problem. I mean, we even looked back a few months ago when we did that sidebar topic. We went on for like 8 hours, and we seen when they really did brand warfare, and it was Raw exclusive PLEs and
Hmm.
SmackDown exclusive. It was like twice a month. There was like 24 pay-per-views in a year.
Yeah.
So it's like right now for there only being 12, I like how right now in this day and age, there's been importance, but if we want to make Raw and SmackDown feel equally important and not just have this draft where you basically just exclusively putting superstars here and here for no reason, because there's no incentive to.
And since they're not on the road as often as they were then, it's that, in my opinion, it's that much more easier to do brand specific shows. You could have, for example, let's see, one Saudi show would be nothing but Raw folks, another one would be solely SmackDown ones, and then the Crown Jewel. You treat it like a Survivor Series or a Big Four PLE, and then one show gets like a No Mercy, the other one gets a Bad Blood, something like that.
And I hate to say it too, it might sound cheesy, but if done right and the
It
people
could
in the
work.
factions, it can work. You can even have Judgment Day as a PLE, like, and a majority of it is surrounded around with what they're doing.
Bad Blood could be just Bloodline.
I mean,
It writes itself.
yeah, like, and for the most part, Bad Blood had like it felt like a lot of important feuds were happening. Drew and like and
Drew
Matt
and
and
Punk.
Punk, yeah,
Yeah,
like the Bloodline stuff going on, Rhea Ripley and Liv going on. Like you had a lot, so like there can be some real importance to these things if done right. With like you said, if we want to do a Raw exclusive PL, if it's even felt like that on certain occasions where we kind of hmm, they put
that
more
could,
SmackDown matches on here.
yeah.
They'll
'Cause I
have
noticed
one
that
Raw
this year,
match.
like even during like Backlash and Clash, like 1 month, I've noticed it would be like a Raw heavy card. The next one would be
Yeah,
like a SmackDown heavy card, and they just flip flop.
yep, and that's cool too, right? Like even if you got to include, it's like a showcase of the other brand or
Hmm.
whatever. Like fuck it, yeah, it don't have to be concrete. Oh,
And
this is
and if
just
you want to rotate the rosters every year for the show, so be it. It's doable. Just again, you just gotta put a little work into it, and then it'll just take care of itself once you get that routine going.
because one thing I'm waiting for is for the draft to feel like a draft again. Like I feel like there's something that's been feeling real watered down about the draft.
We haven't had a good draft since what, 2007,
I mean,
2006.
the second you tell me certain people are off the table for round one or day one of the draft, you kind of you fucked my head up with that.
Well,
There's no such
I
thing as
remember in past ones, certain champions were off limits. 'Cause I remember at the time, in the old ones, when Triple H was World Heavyweight Champion and Taker was Undisputed Champions, they were off limits. Everyone else, fair game.
man.
That again, but again, put some emphasis on it, but just stick to it.
That's
it'll
all.
take care of itself.
That's all. But yeah, I think for me, I'm good on the brand warfare, man. You got anything else you wanna hit before we get up out of there on them?
I'm solid.
Yes, sir. Chat, we gonna ride y'all. We gonna let y'all go with this song right here, man. Y'all already know. Y'all gonna hit that shit right off the hip, man. Come on. QR code right above Ray's over there. Ah, man. Let's go.
Chilling at the head of the table.